Hello, my name is Sophia and this is an audio version of my blog entry entitled Walkthrough Hacktoria Geolocation 11. Note, the Hacktoria website no longer has geolocation challenges, therefore all the links have been removed. This blog entry is for legacy purposes only. Feel free to give it a go by attempting to geolocate the image before reading the walkthrough. So here's an explanation on how to solve Geolocation 11 challenge on Hacktoria's website. Quick disclaimer, I already knew the answer to this challenge because I'm the one that took the photo that we'll be analyzing. So let's get down to business. Geolocation 11, and that is the photo I took. So question, where was this picture taken? Be more specific than the country or the town, name the venue. Use English name, only words, spaces, no special characters. So many rules. Okay, first thing we must do before analyzing the image is to analyze the question. We are told that we'll need to find a venue, meaning we are in a venue. What type of venue? Clearly one in a non-English speaking country, as the question specifically requires you to give the English name without using any special characters. We can already infer that the original non-English name has special characters that would not be used in English. We can then narrow it down already without even looking at the photo by checking your world map, showing countries with English as an official language and remove them all from our scope. So all of that, gone. It cannot be in any of them. Okay, of course, we can always argue that you can find, for example, a Chinese restaurant in New York's Chinatown with nothing on it written in English, but let's assume that the author of this challenge, me, was not that mean. You should never assume that though. Okay, now that we have analyzed the question, let's analyze the image. For that, we'll open the picture, new tab, save in our desktop. We'll zoom it around, trying to find any interesting features, landscapes, buildings, etc. So, done that. Okay, zoom it around, be like, interesting there, very interesting there, and some other stuff around, isn't there? Let's start with the usual routine, a quick image reverse search using Yandex, Bing, Google Images. As usual, Bing, Google's results, little help, but Yandex picked up something interesting, so let's take a look at the results below. So on the right side of the image, this section here, under similar images, which says there, we spot many interesting photos, all highlighted. It seems that Yandex detected the big cable on the top left of our image and focused the search results on it. So let's just look at it again. Look at that. There's a big cable. And Yandex is like, oh, let me find more of those. If we quickly look at the Geolocation 11 challenge photograph, we can see that there are two very unusual cable structures. See below. So the one I show, and there's another one, very thin. Look at that. On the top left of the image and on the other set on the mid-bottom right side of the image. Okay, so see, this is why I have an image, so I can actually point at things instead of having to describe it as mid-bottom right side of the image. Anyway, that's the one. Are those two connected at all? So looking through Yandex similar image results, it seems that they're pointing us in the direction of it being part of an aerial cable car system. Now, looking back at Yandex results, this time on the left side of the screen under sites containing information about the image, there, that section there, we can spot several links to VK, a popular Russian social media website. If we follow the links, we'll end up on someone's profile that obviously I'm not going to link. It seems to be a user that lives in Lagos, Portugal. If we check out their photos, we spot a few showing aerial cables. It seems very familiar. This seems very similar to that. So, knowing that we're probably looking for a cable car system surrounded by big trees in some city, we spot already an interesting photo among many other interesting photos, of course. So, on this person's profile. The photo shows a couple of ladies in a small aerial cable with many trees around them and the familiar structure over the water. Look at that structure. Oh God, this is something similar. There's a structure and this might be water. The sides of the cable car depict a couple of zebras, look down, 1 and 2, and many trees. There you go, a few trees. This seems to be indicating we're either in a zoo or a wildlife park. So now let's compare the photograph above here with our challenge image. So looking at the wooden structure below the cable car, this one, and aided by the fact that we now suspect are we in a zoo or wildlife park, we can make the assumption that we're looking at an animal enclosure, most likely a primate or some sort of arboreal animal that is intimidated by a water moat. Now let's look at the top of the cable car and compare it to the original image showing the big cable lines in the distance. Could all these white spots there, you can see all of them on the long cable, be individual cable cars? So just like that one, it's starting to seem likely. So if the VK user is from Lagos, Portugal, let's find out two things. First, does Lagos have a zoo? Second, does it have a cable car on it? If we search for Lagos Zoo cable car right there at the top, Google Images, this is what we get. There are 4 images, 1, 2, 3, 4, with cable cars on them, 2 of which have similar types of cable car to the ones we saw in the VK account. See the top thingy there and the top thingy there. Both of them are in Lisbon, not Lagos. So maybe it's time we check Google Maps and zoom in the Lisbon Zoo. If this is correct, we'll be able to spot a few landmarks such as those 2 buildings in the left of our image, the strange white canopy set in the middle, that one, the wooden structure surrounded by a water moat, the forest in the back, and the cable cars, of course. First thing we spot when checking the Lisbon Zoo on Google Maps is the interesting white structure seen on the second picture of the set above. So that one, look at that. So let's take a better look using Google Earth Pro that allows us to move the camera on a different angle. And there it is. It's a great match. Here it is from Google Earth Pro. Here it is, photograph. Now let's try to find match for every other landmark I mentioned. So you have the big buildings on the top left viewed from Google Earth Pro. This is it. And compared to the geolocation challenge image, we have another brilliant match. We have the animal enclosure on the wooden structure, this is the one, with the water moat surrounding it, seems to also be visible. That one there. We can also even find a few other details visible on the original image, such as the orange roof, that one, and the green flat roof near the enclosure, that one. I actually have another picture. So you can see this is taken from Google Earth Pro. So you have here the roof, we have here the moat, the little island with some sort of primate living there, and we have this green roof that's just flat and has some sort of, I think they're vents or something. I was there a long time ago. Anyway, so now let's compare the forest in the distance along with a hail line and shape. And I truly apologize. This is a horrible piece of work. So I've tried my best. I can do straight, I can do wriggly, but they're the same. I can assure you they are the same. I've seen them in person. So finally, let's try to spot the cable cars in the zoo. So Google Earth Pro seems to have some trouble identifying the cables as they're quite thin compared to obviously everything else around them, but we can still spot a few lines. There's a line there and there is a line there, and that is the cable car line. So now we can draw our conclusion, knowing that the original photograph was taken so close to a big cable because it was visible on the top left. We go again. Oh my god, too fast. You go that one. It was very visible to that. And we're clearly quite high up. It's safe to assume that the author of the image, which was me, was riding the cable car at the time the photo was taken. Yeah, I was. This was likely where the photo was taken based on the nearby landmarks. So we have the orange roof tile, there you go. The enclosure with the water moat, there you go. And the green flat roofs. There you go, that was a cable car. So the coordinates of the red circle below are these ones. So long story short, where was this picture taken? It was taken in Lisbon Zoo. I hope this walkthrough was informative and helpful in case you were stuck. If you reached the same conclusion using a different method, feel free to share it, as I would be very happy to learn new techniques and or tools. For this challenge, you could also use the olive tree, Oleo Europea. Why do I do this to myself? In the middle to narrow down your search. Here you go. So you have here some olive trees in the middle. You can narrow down your search to countries around the Mediterranean Sea. The typical Mediterranean orange roof tiles, there is so many in Lisbon, to identify that it was an European Mediterranean city. The fact that this is a big hilly city and Lisbon is called or considered the city of the seven hills. And lastly, the forest in the far distance, which is also quite big. Thank you for listening. Sophia.